Alright, Stephen, here's another one for you. It's not scripted. So, and I'm drinking. So, we'll see how this goes. I did all the work in PI and brought this over as a TIFF into Photoshop. I was going to show you a couple quick things. I've got a couple actions that I did myself. Anytime you want to record an action, you can come down here. I know you already know your minimize thing with your stars and all that stuff. And what I've done here with select and stars, I just click on it, and what it's going to do, it's going to do all those things that you normally do, that you select them and then feather and modify and whatever to pick up most of the stars. And what I'm going to do from there, which will help a lot when you start sharpening stuff, because if you sharpen stuff, you start fucking up the stars pretty bad. If you come up to layer, hit new, layer via copy, alright, your stars are right there and they're protected. Anything you do down below here is not going to affect them. Again, this is a recorded action that I recorded myself. I've got that. I've got Dan Noise, which makes an inverted layer mask, and Dan Color, which is really too hard to explain right now. I don't use it that much anymore. It's good for the DSLR, but it does a color boost real nice for the DSLR, and I can show that later more in detail. Right now I was just going to show you some of the sharpening, but I want to protect the stars, so right now they're in that layer, and anything I do isn't going to affect them. And I'll get into more detail later. I can set up the action on your system, but this is a start. Okay, so I go to the background, duplicate the layer, and come up to filter and other and high pass. I just use 13 and 80. There's 80 right there. That's going to pick up a lot of the outer nebulosity and stuff. I'm going to say OK. For the 80, you use soft light. And now I can come up into the slider up here, and it's kind of hard to see probably on the screen, but you can go from no sharpening to all the sharpening, and it's really easy to overdo it. So what I'll do is sit here and go with the opacity slider and just kind of pick out a spot I kind of like. I don't want to overdo it because it kind of gets shit blown out, but let's settle right in about there. Okay, now I'm going to duplicate it again. Okay, filter, high pass, other, high pass. This time I'm going to use 13, and you'll see now it's picking up more of the blacker stuff around here, and this is good for sharpening up edges. And for the 13, you're going to use overlay. Normal. Okay, we're going to overlay. And again, this is going to sharpen up edges on stuff. And again, it's easy to overdo it. So back off. You see there's no sharpening. And let's bring it up a little bit. And see, it's a fine line. I tend to blow shit out, so I'm trying to calm down a little bit. Alright, so we got that, and from there all I really got to do is right click and flatten it. Oop. And that's what you get. And those stars were never affected by all that, which if you hadn't put them into a separate layer, it would. Alright, I'm going to take a break for a second. Okay, I'm back, and this is not scripted, so just bear with me. Casca, you can jump in on this one too here. If you don't know how to build a layer mask, there's a layer mask where if you want to work on the highlight areas, and then an inverted layer mask only works on the background. And I'll show you how to adjust it. Again, you can record this when you pop open your actions, which I've already got them recorded, but I'm going to show you how to actually do it. You can hit this little record button down here if you want to. Any keystroke, any mouse click, anything you do, it's going to record it and you can save it. Alright. And I've already got it saved as Dan Noise. Just automatically pops me up an inverted layer mask. But let's show you how it's done. Come onto your background, duplicate the layer, okay? And from there, we're going to put in a layer mask up here, the top layer, and we're going to put a layer mask, hide all. Okay, now what you need to do is come back over to your main picture, and Control A is a select all, Control C is a copy. Now to get back into your layer mask box here, you have to hit Alt click. Okay, that gets you back in there. If you do anything else, it's not going to let you in. Now you just hit a Control V and it's going to paste your original in there. Alright, that's a layer mask. Anything I do is only going to affect the highlighted areas. So if I do a curves, levels, anything, it's also going to affect the stars. Now I showed you that select Dan stars thing earlier. You can do that and protect them. Do that first, then do your layer mask. So you've got it in there. Now if I click back over here and say, well, let me go back. Alt click. That gets me into the mask. From here you can adjust your mask by hitting adjustments in your levels. Alright. Say I really only want to get that and none of the background. You can play with levels. See, you're just adjusting the mask right now. So if you just want to get a specific area, say you know, you only want to get that or that or that. Alright. Normally it'll work just fine where you're at there. If I click there, hit adjustments, let's say curves, it's for the most part only going to affect that forward part, and you'll see it, you know, see how it blows out the stars. That's why I do that separate mask for the stars. Alright, let's cancel. Anyway, that is a layer mask. So you're just going to, for the most part, work on the foreground, and you can change that via levels. Oops. And it's always Alt click to get back into that mask. Oh damn it, I didn't mean to do that. Come on. Alt click, get you back into the mask. And levels will let you play with levels or curves, either way. You can play with how much or how little you're playing with. Alright. Okay. Click back on here. If you want to do an inverted layer mask, Alt click, get back into my mask. All you got to do is hit Control I. Now you got an inverted layer mask. It's working on the white part. So if you do a noise reduction, it's going to primarily work on the white part, and the black part is being protected. Again, come back up into your adjustments, levels, and this is where I'll jack it up pretty good. It's inverted. So come up here. Anything that's black is being protected. Anything that's white isn't. So you can select how much, you know, if you're doing a noise reduction, you'll be surprised how much room you have to play with. But see, I don't really want to do noise reduction on the real faint areas because they'll disappear. So you just want to play it by ear. Again, you can bring this down. Some noise reduction, and it's kind of a situation where the darker it is, the less it gets. So you can play with this. Say I really don't want it to remove any noise here because generally it's not that noisy on your high signal. Okay, and then I want to play with the background, and I can set that like that. Now if I do a noise reduction, it's for the most part only fucking with the background. So I could come up here, and if I wanted to lower the background, I can come right in here, and you see it's primarily messing with the background. And again, it's adjustable, so that's the idea on that. Okay, I'm going to take another break. I'm drinking, by the way. Forgot to mention, if anything works out and you don't like it, you can always right or left click this, drag it down to the trash can, boom, and you're right back where you started. That's the easiest way. If you've done something in a layer mask and you don't care for it, just grab it, drag it, and drop it in the trash can. Alright, I'm going to shut this down for now. It's almost 4 in the afternoon. The only thing I've had to eat today is a 6-pack of cheap beer, so we'll come back and get some other cool shit later. Pigpen signing out.